Maple Ridge was the kind of town where nothing ever seemed to go wrong. Tucked between gentle hills and framed by whispering pine forests, it was a quiet place where the days were long, the skies wide, and the streets filled with friendly hellos. That morning, the sun filtered through the tall trees in golden streaks, casting dappled light on the winding trails and backroads that bordered the town. 8-year-old Ava Parker woke early, like she always did, with excitement in her chest. She had one reason to wake with joy every morning: her best friend and protector, Max, a loyal and intelligent 5-year-old German Shepherd. Max wasn't just a pet, he was family. Ever since Ava had been diagnosed with anxiety and mild seizures at age 4, Max had been trained to alert her parents whenever something was wrong. He stayed by her side like a shadow, calming her with his steady presence and warm gaze. The two of them were inseparable. That morning, Ava's parents were busy prepping the backyard for a small barbecue, so Ava decided to take Max for a short walk down one of the well-worn trails that led into the edge of the forest. It was their thinking path, a place where Ava could talk to Max about her dreams, her drawings, or her fears. But they never made it back. When Ava didn't return after 30 minutes, her mother, Julia, began to worry. An hour passed. Then 2. Panic bloomed in her chest. Ava never wandered far, and she never ignored Max's gentle nudges to return home. Julia called her husband, then the police. By afternoon, a search party had formed: neighbors, volunteers, local rangers. But as dusk fell and the forest turned shadowy and dense, Ava remained missing. Then at around 8:13 p.m., a local volunteer named Carlos spotted something unusual: paw prints near the edge of a long-forgotten property just outside the town's boundary. The land was overgrown, fenced off with a broken wooden barrier, and at its center stood the remnants of an old, dried-up stone well. But as Carlos approached, he stopped in his tracks. A soft whimper floated up from the darkness below. When rescue crews arrived under the beam of headlights and floodlamps, they found Max, trapped 20 feet down in the narrow, crumbling well. His fur was dusty, and he was limping slightly, but he was alive. A single look up, eyes wide with hope, and he barked again. But where was Ava? A local firefighter named Captain Elise Grant took charge. She quickly coordinated with the town's rescue team. As ropes were secured and a narrow rescue harness lowered, she gathered information. Carlos reported that there had been small footprints near the well, but no sign of Ava anywhere. Had she fallen too? Had Max gone in after her? The rescue effort was delicate. The well walls were unstable. If they moved too fast, the stones might collapse, burying Max under a ton of rubble. It took 2 hours before a specially trained rescue worker named Leo Chen was able to lower himself down and reach the frightened dog. "I'm here, boy," Leo whispered, his gloved hands carefully wrapping around Max's chest. "We've got you." With a careful tug and counterbalance, Max was lifted from the well, emerging into the night air to a burst of cheers. He licked Leo's face in gratitude, but then turned immediately, whining and tugging toward the woods, his nose to the ground. Though injured, Max refused rest. He barked, yanked at his leash, and whined toward the edge of the nearby forest. "He's trying to lead us," Julia whispered, trembling. "He knows where she is." Despite his exhaustion, Max pulled forward, limping but determined. The rescue team followed: firefighters, police, volunteers, Ava's parents, all trusting the dog who had proven to be more than a pet. 10 minutes into the thick trees, Max veered sharply and began barking wildly near a thicket. Leo pushed through the brush and gasped. There, curled up under a fallen branch and covered in leaves, was Ava. She was unconscious but breathing. A faint bruise marked her temple where she must have struck her head. And Max had clearly dragged leaves and small branches over her to keep her warm and protected. He hadn't fallen into the well. He had jumped in to call for help. He called out, and to his shock, a bark answered. Ava was rushed to Maple Ridge General Hospital. A mild concussion, a sprained wrist, and a case of hypothermia, but she would make a full recovery. Max stayed at the foot of her hospital bed, refusing to leave. Nurses made an exception. "He's family," the doctor said with a smile. The story spread like wildfire. Local news covered it first: hero dog leads rescuers to missing girl after hours trapped in forest. Then national headlines picked it up. German Shepherd trapped in well. He was calling for help to save his best friend. Brave dog jumps into well to alert rescuers, saves 8-year-old girl's life. Max became a national hero overnight. A week later, a special ceremony was held at Maple Ridge Town Hall. Crowds gathered, some holding signs like Max the Miracle Dog and Not All Heroes Walk on Two Legs. Captain Elise presented Max with the town's first-ever Medal of Canine Valor. His tail wagged proudly as Ava, now back on her feet, wrapped her arms around his neck and whispered, "Thank you, Max. You saved me." The rescue team also received awards for their bravery and coordination. Leo Chen, who had gone down into the well, was deeply moved. "I've seen dogs do incredible things," he said at the podium, "but Max showed a kind of loyalty and intelligence that can't be trained. He chose to help her. He knew what he was doing." In the months that followed, Ava and Max's story continued to inspire. A children's book titled Max and the Well was published and quickly became a bestseller. Schools used the story in lessons about courage, empathy, and loyalty. Maple Ridge's local council funded a new canine search and rescue training program, naming it the Max Initiative. Dogs like Max would now be trained to assist in real rescue missions, and he became the program's mascot. Max's paw print was even set in cement in front of the local firehouse. As for Ava, she began drawing again, her sketchbooks filled with heroic dogs and forest adventures. She often visited schools with Max to talk about what happened. "Max taught me that even when you're scared," she'd say, "love is stronger than fear. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is bark for help." Maple Ridge was never the same after that summer. Not because it had faced danger, but because it had seen something extraordinary, a bond so strong, it rewrote what people thought dogs could do. Max continued to serve as Ava's companion, but now also as a symbol. He had shown that even in a world full of noise, compassion speaks loudest. His actions reminded everyone that bravery doesn't always wear a uniform. Sometimes, it wears a tail and fur. And every time someone passed the old well, now sealed and marked with a memorial plaque, they'd stop, smile, and remember the German shepherd who jumped into the darkness to bring someone back to light.